This video is another which responds to a question from a user who this time wanted to know how it's possible, or whether it's possible in Adaptable, to reuse a query. Essentially, whether we can create a query in one place or an expression in one place and then use it somewhere else. And the answer is yes, you can do that. We have a query keyword, which means that any predefined config that includes it can then essentially allow that query to be used in numerous places, such as alerts and calculated columns and format columns, etc. But you can also do it at runtime, so we'll show you how to do that. So let's first just create a very simple query. So we, for instance, will want to see any rows where the language is equal to JavaScript, and let's say where we've got more than 10,000 GitHub stars. So let's create this query. Now I can save it as a named query here, but in fact we'll do that through the UI so you can see it better. So there's my query, and then if I clear it, I will lose that query. So let's actually now name it. So let's give this a name, and we will call this, say, big.js. So we've now created our query called big.js. So in fact, I can now clear this, see all 25 rows, and then I can load it anytime I want and just see the 14 rows which match. But as I say, I can now use this big.js query in other places as well. So for instance, let's create a format column, and we will say we're going to format any row, but we will use the query we created. And in fact, you can see now, as well as having all the columns, we've also got a list of all the named queries. So far, we only have one. So for instance, we could just format this, and you can see that it uses the query keyword. So if we were to write it, we would do it this way. It's the query keyword with the name of the query that was given. And we could just run that, or indeed, we could add another parameter, another argument. So for instance, we could say also where GitHub watchers is greater than 3,000. So we've referenced the big.js here through the query keyword, and we've added another one. And now let's just do a style so we can actually see it happen. So let's make it brown, let's make font yellow, and let's make it italic. And in fact, let's add we can't add a display format because it's for a whole row. So there we are. You can now see that any row which matches the condition we gave it is colored like that. And then of course, if I was to load my query, not every row will be formatted, because obviously they all fit in the first part, the big.js bit, which we've got here, but we added a second bit to our format column, which was that it needed to be bigger than a number, which only these three match. So there we are. We created our query called big.js, and then we used it elsewhere. And obviously you can provide as many of those as you want. You can do it at design time in predefined config, or as we've seen here, you can do it at runtime. And then it's completely as many levels deep as you want. It's recursive, so you can have queries calling queries calling queries if required. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you found that useful. If you'd like a personalized demo of Adaptable, please get in touch with us. Or likewise, if you would like a free, no obligation Adaptable trial license, we'll be happy to give you one. Goodbye.